Hello. A lot of you are going to be doing very similar layout, so I thought I would do a demo of that. As I'm starting up the server, I just wanted to say a quick tip is that you can, if you right-click on the page that you want to open up, so if I right-click here and I say open with live server, then that will open this page. So it's a little easier once you get more folders. So right now there's nothing in this file, but I'm in the right place. So let's go look at those files. So I've made a folder called absolutely, because we're going to be absolutely positioning things. And then there's an index.html and a style. So first I want to make sure I'm linking to my style file. So I'm going to put that in the head section of my document. And I'm going to say link and tab. And then because these are in the same directory, I just have to call the name of the file. So style.css. And I can just test that out. Let's see, I'll call this absolutely. In my body, I'll just say hello and make sure that things are working. So there's my hello. And if I change the font, I'll just put it in the body. Actually, while I'm here, it's good to just zero out the margins in your body because they come default with HTML has some styles built in, and one of them is this annoying margin on the body. So it makes it hard to have a full width, full height, like all images and colors stretching to the edge. So I'll just make this bigger. I'll just say 36 pixels. Whoops, there we go. And there you go, 36. So I know that my style is working. Maybe I'll just leave the body at 36. Seems like a good idea. Okay, so index page. What we're going to do is I'm going to basically I'm going to have a box that has a grid inside of it. So I'm going to use main as my box. And inside, I'm going to have a section that has two parts to it. I guess I should probably draw out really quick. Do I have an app open? No. Okay, you're just going to have to wait and see. Okay, so the section is going to have, I'll just use the article tag, which is basically all these tags are boxes. It just kind of makes it easier to read the site if they are, if you use the semantic tags. So one article, I'm going to have an image on the left. So I'm going to say image source. And I love to use PlaceKitten. Let's pause real quick and look at the PlaceKitten website. So placekitten.com. If you go there, they tell you how to use the images. So if I want a 200 pixel wide by 300 pixel high image, I can just call placekitten.com and say /200/300. G, I think, is the black and white one. Yeah, let's look at it. Yep, black and white. So you can also have black and white images, which is nice. So yeah, you can just grab this link and then adjust the size if you want. Or, you know, I do it so often now that I know how to get the size. Of course, I always mix up my width and height because I don't know, just because I do. So I'm going to make this one 600 wide, whoops, and then maybe I'll make it pretty tall, make it 800 high, make sure that my tag is closed. And then I'm just going to try to get in the habit of showing you guys good alt tags. So I'll say photo of kitten. And then on the other side, I'm going to have probably like a header 2. This is some great content. And then below my header 2, I'm going to have a paragraph. And then in the paragraph, I'll have, I'll just put some lorem ipsum text for now. So I'll do lorem 50 tab. And then maybe I'll even have a call to action below. I'll just put that in now. href equals something. I'll just say click me. And then I'm going to make a button style. So I'll add class equals, and then I'm going to call my button. So I'll have like a sort of global button, and then global button style, and then if I want to like have different variations, I can have a second class. I'll show you that after we get this layout out. So the one thing I'm missing is I want to also have an H1 for the whole page. So I'm going to say H1, kittens are great. Okay, and then I'm going to do something weird and special with my H1. So I'm going to call this class equals, what should I call it? Banner head H1. Okay, so let's get going. So my section, I'm going to make a grid, a 2-column grid for these 2 articles. So the section is the parent of that area. And I want to, well, let's just see what this looks like. I'm always jumping ahead. That's not my website. Here's my website. Okay, so far I have, oh, where's my header? Did I not save? H1, kittens are great. I must not have saved. There it is. Okay. Okay, H1, and then kitten, and then H2, and then paragraph, and then this will be my button. So right now they're just all flowing as one column. And if I right click and inspect, we can kind of see that in action. And so remember down here, there's a little guide to tell you what color is what. So as I mouse over stuff in here, so my H1 has a margin, pretty big one that's built into HTML. My section, let's go down there. My section is just that blue content. So there's no padding or margin on that built in. My article, oh, my article is also the kitten. Article also just blue. Image is, see how there's no blue except for right on the image? That's because there's no, it's not a block element, it's an inline element, so that it doesn't exist, it doesn't stretch across the page, but because it's an article, which does want to stretch across the page, that's why you're seeing that blue here. And then my other article is also wanting to stretch across the page. Where is it? There we go. And also the H2 wants to stretch across and has built-in margin. And then the paragraph has, see how there's a little built-in margin there, and also it wants to stretch across the page. So it's kind of good to understand what these things are doing by default. There's another big paragraph, a big margin on that paragraph. Okay, so let's mess up with the default. So I'm going to give my section a class name. And because grids, like a lot of times you'll have like a perfect 50% grid, I like to kind of call them generic names so that I can reuse them. So I'm going to say class equals grid-2. And in style, I'm going to say dot grid-2. So dot because I called it a class. And then I'm going to say display flex. And then just a reminder, if we look at this section, I'm going to collapse these articles. These little arrows let you collapse stuff. So the section is the parent. The 2 columns I want are this article and this article. So I call flex on the parent. So let's look at that. So we have display flex. Let's see how we're doing. Not too bad, actually. It's not quite 50% by default, but it's pretty darn close. So let's add, let's say, I think I can say flex 1 here. I always forget this part. See if that will, yeah, I think it evened it out, didn't it? We'll find out soon enough. So I don't want this thing to like stretch all the way across my screen. So what I want is to have on main, let's give it a color so we can get better. So I'm going to say main background color. What color should we do? We'll do antique white. And then I want it to have a border. So I'm going to say border. Let's make it 4 pixels. I'm going to make it solid. You can also do dotted. For fun, let's do dotted. There's dashed, dotted. I think that's all there is. And then I'll just make it black, which in hex is 000. And as you can see, there's that abbreviation that Emmett's pulling up. The hex colors are in pairs, so if I only give it 3, it'll automatically say, oh, okay, that must mean 000000. So that's just sort of like a little shortcut. So there's my border. Let's see what we've got. So it's stretching all the way across. So let's make this, ooh, my thing is sticking off the page. There we go. Okay, let's make main less wide. So first I'm going to say, make it like 80% of the viewport width. So I'm going to say 80 VW. Let's see that. So now we've got 80, but it's like smashed up against the left. So the trick to adding, oh yeah, 50. Okay. The trick to adding automating things is to say margin auto. And that will automatically center it. It'll say, oh, okay, I'll figure out the margin on either side. Okay, so let's see, what should we do? Oh, right, so the flex on the grid isn't working. So what we have to do is we have to say, find me a class called grid2, and inside of it, find any article, and make those be a flex of 1. And then that way, each one will be equal parts 1 and 1, and then they'll be 50%, maybe. Come on. Oh, you know why? This image wants to take up as much space as it, like the size of it. So we have to actually do something a little bit funky. We have to tell it to be 100% wide. And then it'll be 100% of the space that it's in. And generally, I like to start off with just every image being 100%, because you kind of do want to like enclose them in their own spaces. So let's do 100%, see if that fixes our problem. Okay, so now we have 50-50. And then let's give it some padding, and 36, maybe it's a little too big. So I'll make the font size, I'll do 20. Body font generally, what's popular now is between 16 and 20 pixels. I am curious. I need to just do this and see if it will still not work. Okay. So it has to be on the child, not the parent. Okay. I think I've learned that lesson like 12 times this week and I keep forgetting. Okay, so let's give these poor articles some padding. So I'm going to say padding 20 pixels, and I will get them away from each other a bit. Might even do a little bit more, but we'll just start with that. And then this H1, I want to actually put in its own box. So what did I call it? I called it banner H1. Okay, so I'm going to position that on top of the box. So I want it to be, I'm going to display it inline block, because I want it to have some styling of block, but I don't want it to be the complete width of the page. And so I'm going to say, I'm going to give it a minimum width, because I want it to be able to stretch if it needs to. And I don't actually know how wide I want this. Let's look and see what, oh, I should probably give it a border first, because I won't be able to see the width. Border is 1, well, let's do 4 again. 4 pixels solid black. I have a typo right there, so that won't work. So I've got to get those back together. Close my terminal. Okay, more space. And then I'm going to give this a background color of white. So it's basically going to be a white box with a border. White in hex is FFF. You could always just say white, but it's kind of nice to get to know the hex. I'm going to do oh here. Let's see what we've got. Okay, needs some padding. I think I want to just get rid of the margin. Remember, there's like a margin around this that might be a pain. If you want to kind of jump right to, oh no, yeah, there's margin. if you want to jump right to an element, now that this is open, you can right click again on an element and it'll jump right to it down in the HTML, which is handy. Okay, so for that H1, I don't want a margin, but I do want padding. I want the text to get away from the border. So I'm going to give it a padding. Here's a shortcut. For the top, I want to do probably 12 pixels, but for the bottom, or sorry, for the top and bottom, 12 pixels. But for the left and right, I want to probably do more like 20 pixels. So you can do pairs like this. Either like that, or you can say it goes counterclockwise and clockwise, and it starts at the top and goes around. So I could say 12 pixels, 20 pixels, 12 pixels, 20 pixels. So this is sort of like shorthand for this, which is also shorthand for padding top equals 12, padding right equals 20, etc., etc. So I'll do this shortcut version. Let's see how that's going. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's probably okay. I'm going to do like 28 pixels. So let's look at where this is in HTML. There's a reason I put it inside main. Main is the one that has that dotted border. I want this to be positioned relative to where main is, and not like like if main moves around, I want to make sure that this is like a child of main. And so in order to use absolute positioning, you need to call on the thing that you want to position against. So if I just called absolute position on this, it would actually position itself against the body. And oof, it's crazy out there. I want it to position against main. So I'm going to say to main, so in style, let's find our main tag. I want to say, I want you to position everything relative to me. And I'll kind of show you the difference between the two. And then for H1, I want this one to be positioned absolutely. So I'm going to say position absolute, and then I'm going to tell it where I want it to position. First I want to center this, so I'm going to say, this might not work. Let's try it. I might have to do a couple things here. Text align center. Let's see if that works. Oh, it's positioned. Okay. So cool. So position absolute, and then I'm going to say I want it to be actually above the top. So if on main the top is 0, I want it to actually be negative. And I actually also want to like give main some margin on the top so we can see it better. I'll just give it 80 pixels. Okay, so here's the main box. So that, as far as like absolute positioning is concerned, that's 0, 0 in relationship to main. If I took out that main relationship, if I take this line out, position relative, then it's going to say, margin top main. Come on, don't make a fool of me. H1 main. Oh, because it doesn't have a top assigned. Okay, I will do top 0. And then I'm going to try to center it by saying make it 0 from the left and also 0 from the right. I'm hoping a trick that will work. Okay, so, oh, I see. So it's making this 100% wide. Okay, so that's top 0, left 0, because I took off the position relative. But if I put it back in main, so if I say make everything inside me be relative to me, then it should jump down into the box. So see that. Okay, so interesting. How this is an interesting problem. So top works. So let's do negative. Negative. Like negative 30 pixels. Okay, and then let's get rid of this top, or the left and right, so we can see the box the size that we want it to be. So I don't really want to give it like a numbered margin. I want to give it a percentage margin because I want it to always kind of be in the middle no matter what size this box is, you know? So let's go to W3 schools, centering position absolute. Let's just do that, see what it comes up with. Horizontal and vertical align. Center elements. Okay, margin width 50%. Margin auto. Well, I guess, but absolutely centering. Well, let's try it. Top, margin auto, margin. We already have margin 0. We'll just take that out. Okay, margin 0 doesn't work, or margin auto. Margin. The other thing is we could do margin left, but this will never be perfect, right? If we do margin left of like 35%, what we really want is we want to know the center. We want to like center it from the center, you know? And I'm not sure how to do that. It's an interesting problem. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Oh, and then see my top's too high, so I actually want to do more like probably 15. Negative. Where did I get? Is it because I took off margin 0? Yeah. So I want margin top to be 0. There we go. Okay, and then top will be 25. I guess 30 was right without that margin. Okay. A little more. Okay. So this is sort of working with a 30% margin, but what if I want to change the text and then see it's not perfectly centered? So maybe I'll pause and try to find an answer because I think my video is getting long. So I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. That took like 2 seconds. So I scrolled down and I actually found the thing that is on the website. So if you go to PSU Interactive Media, this trick is what is helping this work as well. So on resources page, right on the top row, there's a thing called vertical centering, and it's I've used it more for like whole page content, but it's the same trick that's working here is what's working in my layout. So in here, here is basically would be main, and what you're doing on main, even though there's one column, is you're calling it display flex, and then you're using justify content center to center it horizontally. So let's take a look at that. Here's my page. Okay, so in the code, I put margin 0 back in so that top negative 30 works how I want it. And then on main, I just added display flex, and then justify content center. And this will center the content horizontally. So let's take a look at it. And then I'll just turn this off to show you that that is what is centering that. So it's using flex to center it. And then you don't have to try to finagle weird margins. Okay, so let's get more padding on top for these guys. Let's see, we've got main grid. So I'll just put some on the top of grid. maybe I'll do margin since it's kind of a margin. Margin top of 60 pixels for the whole thing. Give that each one some space, maybe even more. And then if you wanted to do extra, let's close this. Like if you want this content to move down more, what I would do is I would add margin to more to this side of things. So you could say, so right now there's no class. So what you can do is you can say for the second one, if I give it a class equals content, then I can call content. I kind of want it to always do this, like use content over again. I want to make sure that it's set to the grid. So I'm going to say if it's in the grid and it's got this content class, then give it a margin pop of maybe like 80 pixels, and then that'll kind of move it down a bit. Okay, one more thing before I close. Let's kind of style this button really quick. So as you remember, at the bottom, I have a class called button. So let's make a button. Style, I'll just put it at the bottom. Okay, so dot button for my button class. I want to give it a background color. Sometimes I have an eyedropper tool. Let's see if my eyedropper tool is working. I kind of had trouble with it. No, I don't have it installed. Okay. I'll just like randomly pick a color, I guess. I'll just do a FF. What color is that? Red? Let's do gold. It's going to be equally ugly, but so, oh, that is going to be horrible. So I'm going to have a background of gold, and then I want some padding, so there's more gold around the. So I'm going to say padding. I'm going to do my again, because you always kind of want more on the left and right. So on the top, I'll do 20 pixel or 12, and then on the left and right, I'll do 20. Okay, a little more padding, and then I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to change the color of the text to white. I'm going to make the weight of the font bold. Let's see how we're doing here. Okay, I want to get rid of that underline. So text dash decoration underline. No, not underline. None. Sorry. None. And then I want padding above it. I'm going to say padding. Or I'll do margin. Margin top. Like 20 pixels. I don't know. Come on. Oh, so because the button is an anchor tag, it's not giving me margin. Anchor tags are display inline by default, but if I change it to inline block, then I'll be able to add margin and padding to it. So there we go, a little bit of padding, and then let's round the corners. So border dash radius will give you a radius around the corners. 50% will give you a circle, which is cool. 12 pixels is pretty good for like a pill button. So there's my, and then just do, I'll do inverted for when you click on it. Oh, I'm going to give it a border, same color, so that I can change the border color. Wait, I just want that. Copy. So I'm going to do border, 2 pixels, solid, this color. Oops, I need that pound. So then what I'll do is when I want to hover over it, oops, sorry. I'm going to take this button class and make a new class that is the button when it's hovered over. So button : hover. And then I'm going to say when you hover over it, change the color to that goldy color. Oops. F9900. And let's see, change the background color to white. And then I'll just keep the border the same. That seems like a good idea. Let's see what it looks like. So if I hover, then I get this like cool hover effect. Okay, so that is sort of like an intro to this idea of absolute positioning. So what if I want to position this kitten a little bit differently? Like what if I want, or actually this is more common, what if I want this text to overlap the kitten? So let's do that. Let's overlap all this content a little bit over the kitten. So I want to, let's go look at the HTML. So our article, this whole box, we want to move over. And it has a class of content. So it is a child of grid 2. So let's just look at the style. And we want to do something similar. So we're going to say, in order to get this to work, we need to go to the new class and we need to say, position everything relative to me. And then we want to go to the content class inside grid 2. And we want to say, position absolute. And then here's the trick. Okay. Interesting. Okay, I think I know how to do this. So if I say, let's just start at, I'm going to start at, what am I going to start at? I don't know. Let's just start at like top of 200 pixels and then height of 0. And let's just see what that gets. So this is wacky because what happens is it takes things out of the flow. So we've just lost our flex. This is very interesting. So it thinks that there's only one column now, and it's positioned it right, 0, and positioned it 200 pixels from the top. So let me think about this. This is interesting. So content, okay. So we don't want content to be what we're positioning. Let's back out of this. So we don't want to say position relative on here. We want content inside of content. Let's look at the content, each one, and there's a paragraph. So I think what I will do is I'm going to say position things inside of content. Like this will be our relative, and these are going to be absolutely positioned. So I want all of them to be positioned, and it'll only position the immediate child. So we're just going to wrap it all in one big div. So I'm going to take this div, cut it, and then put it right below my button. So content starts with, it's in the article class. So I want to make sure that everything inside of article is now inside a div. We could give this div a class because it's kind of specific to content. Like if you had different positioning on every page, let's just give it a class. So kitten 1, maybe there's like a site about kittens. So content is now the parent. So let's do this. Grid content. I'm going to say position everything relative to me. And then we made another class that's, I'll just say inside of content, there's a class called kitten1. And this one, we want to say position absolute. And then just to like put it in a normal place, we're going to do top and then left 0 to start where it would normally want to start. So now we have our grid back, although it looks so different than it did. What happened? Doesn't it look, yeah, the button's down there. Oh, now the content doesn't know how tall to be. So this main box, I have to like kind of get a height now. See how fun this is. So on main, so I have 80 viewport width. I'm gonna say a minimum height, I guess, of 80 viewport width. Maybe maximum height. Now we have a little bit more height. Yeah, I'm not sure. What if I do max? I just want to see what that'll look like. It probably won't. Yeah, it doesn't work. Okay, so I'm going to say min height, and then maybe I'll do like 70. Okay, so the reason why this is longer than the page is because it says, well, your view is this big, so I'm going to just, it seems more like it's 100, huh? Might have to do with something else. Okay, we'll keep going. So now we can position this. We can say kitten, and then on the left we want to do like a negative, so we'll try 50, and then once I kind of get it started, that's usually when I do the inspect tool to get it really centered where I want. So here's kitten. I can try 80, something like that. 80 is pretty good. So let's,
like, my pencils are, they disappeared again.
Okay, here. Did I break it?
I mean, no.
So what if you only want the header?
Taking my pencils.
I'm sorry. If you only wanted the header, then you could just move this up, and instead of calling the stock kitten, you could call header. So we could do this. I'll do that in the diff just to be lazy, but you could take it out. But if you only wanted the header, then you could go back here, and instead of saying kitten1, you could say H2. That would make just that header. Oh man. But see how it loses like margin with this guy? You're gonna want to. Well, it's because it's out of the flow of content. Oh my gosh, I have to pause. Okay, I think I've survived. Maybe not. But when you make things position absolute, it sort of takes them out of the flow of content. So if I inspect this, if I take out position absolute, then see how like the things that we've added to the content, which is like margin top of 80, it kind of like loses that. It sort of becomes its own creature. And so every below it sort of moves up. So what we can just do is, wait, let me refresh. Oh, I can just click that on. So if I just move this up to like negative 40 pixels or something, then I can kind of move it around. This should stretch and grow okay. Yeah. There are ways to get it to not wrap like that, but this gives you like a pretty good idea of how to kind of play with positioning of items. And like I said, because we're only positioning this one thing, we can call it specifically. We can say this I'm going to do absolutely. The rest of this, like, we don't need that div anymore. If we were just going to do one. Whoops. Okay. So here we are. And then, oh, I would have to do the top in the actual HTML. So when you're playing with the inspect tool, it lets you change things on the fly, but then it doesn't actually change your HTML. Every time you refresh page, changes will go away. So it's a great way to try things out, but you then have to apply it to your HTML file. So one cool thing is that, as you can see, this says style.css, so that's my style file, and it's telling me that it's on line 24. This is super handy when your files get really, really big. You can kind of go in here and say, where is this style again? Inspect it. It'll jump right there to button, and then it'll tell you, oh, that's on line 53. Okay, this is a giant video, so I am going to stop. Thanks for watching. I'll put a link to this code in the video description. All right, thanks.